started the day at case credits, starting the business or starting afresh, doing those 4 CCs, and worked our way up through the incentives to the lofty heights of soaring manager. We've learnt everything we need to do. So that's it. We know what to do. We just have to do it. Now, that's not as easy as it sounds, is it? I think Bob started the day by saying, this is a very simple business, but it's not easy. And it's not easy because we tend to get in our own way. Well, not everybody, but I certainly did. What I found was, or what I learnt, was that I just had to learn to do income-producing activities. And we've heard that already many times today. So we need to use and share the products. We need to share the opportunity. We need to build and coach our team. And we need to develop our skills as we go. Simple business. And that's one of the reasons when I saw Forever, 21 years ago now, that I was so excited. I'd built a 25-year corporate career. Good job, good money, no life. I was traveling all the time, away from home all the time, and I just thought, there's got to be a better way. I had 2 teenage girls at home then. Alan also traveled with his job, and then my mum, her health started to fail. Alan's parents, their health started to fail, and I never felt I was in the right place at the right time. So I started to look around for something different, and to be fair, I couldn't find it. As I look back, what I realized was I was one of those people you wouldn't approach because I looked successful and nobody knew what was going on inside my head. When a client introduced me to Forever, I was so excited, I absolutely could not wait to get started. And when I had my first planning meeting, John Curtis, Diamond Manager, I was lucky enough, drove an hour and a half up to do my first meeting. And I was really serious, so I took half a day off work for that first meeting. I made a coffee. He explained, these are the 4 things you need to do. I said, well, I realized that, John, because I heard that at the business presentation. I can't tell you how excited I am about this business, and I am completely committed. But I like to be really straight with people. So just so that you know, of those 4 things, I'd just like to do 2 of them. He said, oh, really? I said, yes, I'd like to use the product, but I certainly don't want to sell any, and I definitely don't want anyone I know to know what I'm doing. I don't mind developing my skills, but I think you'll find that I'm pretty good already. Because I have a very good job, you see. So John just looked at me. And we laughed, but I was being really, really serious. Because you see, those things were so far out of my comfort zone. I didn't feel that I could push through that comfort zone and get comfortable with being uncomfortable. But I realized that that was what I was going to have to do if I was going to build a Forever business. But I didn't realize it at day 1. I spent a good 12 months, 18 months trying everything not to retail any products and not to tell anyone what I was doing and be successful at the same time. My business was a massive roller coaster. I didn't have a launch for 6 weeks because people like me don't do that sort of thing. A bit beneath me. And I did recruit a few people and thought, thank goodness I've got 3. I don't need to do any more prospecting for at least 6 months. And I'll just look after my team, because that felt comfortable. And it wasn't until the moment where I realized that there had to be no plan B, that I had to decide whether my goal, whether my dream of giving up my job, staying out of a job, was big enough to push me through my fear. And again, I think we've heard it from the stage today, I determined that there was no plan B. I had to make this work. And when you decide that, when you decide to do whatever it takes, what I've found is that you get through that fear, you get through that comfort zone. But you'll never build a business with forever unless your goal is bigger than your fear. You know, the majority of people quit, not just forever, the majority of people quit on their goals rather than do something they don't want to do, rather than do something they don't like doing. Successful people do what they don't like doing in order to achieve their goal. And that might sound obvious, but that was a really big thing for me, because I'd read things like, find your passion and you'll never work another day in your life. Do something you love and it'll never feel like work. Well, the problem was, I wanted to work part-time and earn a 6-figure income. I just didn't want to retail product, recruit anyone in order to do it. And so I'm sure I'm not the only one. You know, you've got to understand you're not going to like doing everything you're being asked to do. But I learned very early on that you cannot cherry pick one of those income-producing activities. Even the developing your skills. Because you see, you can't develop into a professional network marketer unless you're doing. Network marketing is the only industry in the world where we do in order to learn. Everything else, be it a doctor, a dentist, a teacher, we go to college, go to university, before we're let loose on a patient or a child. But in network marketing, we have to do it in order to learn how to do it. So you can't cherry pick. You've just got to decide that your goal is bigger than your fear, that there'll be no plan B, that you will find a way to make it work. Because the truth is, in forever, you can't fail. And what I've also learned is that the more you do the things you don't like, you get to like them. You get to, it becomes a part of your everyday. I think Juliana said this, it becomes a way of life. You can't help yourself. And suddenly those things that you didn't enjoy, you learn to love. Now, it's really easy to be excited on a day like this. It's really easy to be motivated. It's really easy to walk out the door thinking, that's it, today's the day. From now, I am going to be doing all the things I need to do. I'm going to do that 7-day plan. I'm going to hit the ground running. But the truth is, we get paid for what we do in private. We don't get paid for success days. We get paid for the daily slog. And the truth is, when we're at home, looking at that phone or looking at those voice notes, it's not that easy. It's not that easy because of the mental battles that we often have to face. So one of the first ones, I believe, is you have to decide what price you're willing to pay. There is a price for success in any field. So what's your price? Are you willing to get up an hour early? Are you willing to go to bed an hour later to work on your dream? Are you willing to let someone else put your children to bed a couple of nights a week? Are you willing to sacrifice giving up maybe a hobby one night a week? We all have the same 24 hours, but what we have to do is determine what are we going to tweak in our lives to release the time to focus on our business. You know, sacrifice always comes before success, even in the dictionary. We must learn to slay the dragon. Do the activity you don't want to do first. The activity you don't want to do, in my experience, is going to be the one that makes you the most successful. For me, it was picking up the phone. I can't tell you the anxiety, the hours wasted. When I decided that I was really going to commit to the business, I actually wrote out and signed, a bit like a contract, and gave it to Alan and said, I'm going to make this work. I told you I'd get you out of your job, and I'm going to make this work. and I am going to do my daily activity, and if I have not done the contacts, the number of contacts that I'm committing to you that I will do every week, we won't eat on Friday till I've done them. That was a really stupid commitment. Do you know what? We had some very late meals on a Friday night. Why? Because I'd start off Monday absolutely filled with determination to make this happen. And then I'd think about it, but obviously, I needed to go shopping for supper, and the washing needed doing. And in fact, I found once I joined Forever and thought of making phone calls that housework had never been so appealing. Cleaning toilets, mowing lawns. I was prepared really to fit everything in around my calls. But of course, they nagged at me. Has anybody tried watching a really good program on the telly with a glass of wine, knowing you haven't made the calls you should have made that day? It's not relaxing, is it? You're not thinking about the program, you've got that nagging voice. Well, that would be Monday, then it would be Tuesday, then it would be Wednesday, and I'd be getting more and more stressed, more and more worked up, because I've only got Thursday and Friday, and dinner was looking very late. And then I'd start on Thursday because I was running out of time. I can't tell you the stress levels. One day, my husband gave me a piece of advice, and it was slay the dragon. Why don't you, he said, instead of stressing all week, just get up on a Monday and do some calls. He said, in fact, why don't you do them every day, Monday to Friday? Even better, why don't you crack them out of the way Monday to Wednesday? Now, I don't like to give him credit for much, in fact, anything, but that was really good advice. And when I took it, it was amazing, because suddenly I was doing more contacts. I got into the flow. I was in the zone. What I learned to do was simply focus on the activity. We have to take action every single day. And we've heard that so many times. And the reason for that is that consistency is what puts you into the flow. Consistency, doing the same activity every day, is how we go from a task to a habit. I've had many experiences of this, and I can tell you that when I do activity every day, I'm in the zone, I'm in the flow, and my activity is much greater. If for some reason I've had to stop doing activity and then try to go back, it's just like starting that engine again. I was a little like Juliana. I got to supervisor and took a couple of months off to celebrate, and just trying to rev up that engine is just so difficult. So it needs to be every day. Now, the problem with every day is that there are a lot of days we don't feel like it. Days like today are great. We feel like it. We feel like it because we're excited and motivated. But anyone can do something when they want to do it. Successful people do things even when they don't want to do it. We need to be persistent. We need to just keep going. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just have to get it started. And we need to keep going. One of the benefits or perhaps disappointments of 21 years in Forever is that I've seen so many people come and go. I've seen people go who said this business would never work. They've maybe sponsored 2 or 3 people and they've quit. And one of those 2 or 3 people has gone on to be a senior, a soaring, a sapphire manager. You see, we have to not only believe in ourselves, we need to believe in others. And we have to understand that this is a business that will never, ever let you down. And in the 21 years I've worked with Forever, I can say they have always over-delivered. And I can't say that for my 25-year corporate career. Now, that's all very well, isn't it? Doing the activity, just getting over yourself, making those calls, retailing product. But what about when people say no? You know, rejection is a choice. Nobody rejects us. We decide if we're going to feel rejected. So just decide not. Now, it's not that easy, I accept that, because it crucified me in the beginning. And then when I thought about it, well, the first thing I thought was, really what I need to do is get to manager and then talk to people. Because then, okay, hands up who's thought that. It'd be all right when, thank you for your honesty. It'd be all right when I'm a manager. It's all right for Jane Leach, but nobody says no to her. Actually, the truth is they do, and that makes me feel better. So, say no to a diamond manager, it's all right. But I did, it crucified me. And then I suddenly thought, if I was working for a company and I went to see someone about that company's product and they said no, I wouldn't go home and slit my throat. I thought, it's because it's me. But of course, it isn't. So I suddenly decided, it was a switch of mindset, that instead of asking people to join me in Rexmoorn's business, I just decided to ask them to join Rexmoorn. So when they said no, it didn't matter. They weren't rejecting me, they were rejecting Rex. And that's the truth. When we ask people to join us, they're working with us, alongside us, but we're asking them to join forever. We're asking them to join this amazing business. So if you're struggling with rejection, I'd really ask you to just switch that mindset, because this made a massive, massive difference to me. The other thing that made a massive difference was Go for No. It wasn't the book, actually. This is a fantastic book, so do get it. But it was before the book. Should have written it myself. It was before the book, and what I realized was that I had to get the no's to get the yeses. Now, often when we start our forever business, we get lots of no's. And I worked out that when someone said to me, oh, it's not working for me, everybody I know said no, that usually worked out at about 7 people. Because 7 people feels like 700. And when I understood about knowing the stats, that you had to get the no's to get the yeses, I put a chart on my wall with little boxes, and I simply crossed people off every time I spoke to them. And then when somebody said yes, I'd give a tick. And I realized, because I knew my stats were 1 in 12 at the time, that there were 12 rows across. So I knew if I got a tick on box number 2, I'd probably got to get to the next line before I'd get another tick. Does that make sense? So it took all the pressure off. And I'd just say to people, do you like what you see? If not, no problem. Just need to cross off my list. Just need to go. What list? You don't need to know. Let's just keep going. But that's the business. You see, prospecting is a process. And if you go for the no's, you will get the yeses. It is impossible not to get the yeses. But what happens is, we stop. We're not able to discipline the disappointment that comes with no, 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 no. 21 years on, we still have our moments. I remember Alan saying only a couple of weeks ago, oh, for goodness sake, I think I'm losing my touch. Because he'd had loads and loads of no's. I'd had loads and loads of no's. But they come with the territory. So remember, they're not saying no to you, they're just saying no to Rex. We need to delay gratification if we want to be successful. What I mean by that is I found that when I'm ready to stop, one more call. When I first started the business and I needed to make my contacts when I was working full time, I was desperate to get home for a glass of wine. Not that I'm an alcoholic or anything. I just wanted to get home, put my feet up, pour a glass of wine. Instead, I parked at the end of the road. And I made my contacts. And then I went home. So learning to do that, to delay, to do a bit more activity, to delay the reward, again, is a great success habit. We've got to have a sense of urgency. You've got to be excited. It's not about being pushy, it's about being excited. And the clock is ticking. I can't tell you where 21 years went. I literally do not know what happened. I blinked. And the clock is ticking for all of us at all times. And you need to put yourself under a bit of pressure. You know, a tyre will not go round without some pressure in it. You don't want too much pressure so you get a burst tyre like on the image on the screen, but you need a bit of pressure. So a bit of pressure is good. If you're feeling the pressure, good. Do the activity. If you do the activity, you won't feel the pressure. You need to hold on to the vision and trust the process. You need to know what you want, hold it close to you. Never let the image of that vision die. And then you just need to follow the system. When I decided there would be no plan B, when I committed to Alan that I would do the activity, I was absolutely determined. I recognised I'd wasted far too much time. So in week 1 of a brand new year, I did 94 contacts. In week 2, I did 15, week 3 another 15, and by the end of the month I'd done 30, 60, I'd done 94 contacts in 1 month. 94 contacts. I hadn't done that in a year. So how proud was I? Pretty good, feeling pretty good about myself. Except, guess how many people joined? None. Okay, so put yourself in my shoes. Tell me how you're feeling. 94 contacts, you've gone out of here now, you're really excited, you're really motivated, you've written your notes, you're going to start on Monday. Okay, by the end of April, 94 contacts, nobody's joined, how are you feeling? Have you quit? I didn't quit, I just threw up. Upline. Threw up line. This business is rubbish, you said it would work, I can't do it, you can't, you said this, I'm rubbish, it works for everybody else is crossing stain. My upline said to me, keep going. So I carried on. In fact, because I was in the flow doing my prospecting every single day, I was doing more contacts every single week. By the end of the second month, I'd done 60, about 78. 78. Plus the 90, whatever it was. Guess how many joined? No, 1 person joined just to use the products for themselves and their family. How'd you feel? How'd you feel? This is 2 months. This is 2 months that feels like 8. No, to Rexmorn. No. So, did I quit? No, I threw up. This won't work, I can't do it. You said, do it. The advice I got, keep going. So I kept going. On the 5th of March, 5 people joined at the BP. Hey. 10th of March, 5 people joined. By the end of March, 13 people in the team, and I was sponsorer of the month. And it felt good. But it taught me to say well done to myself every week when I'd done my prospecting every day. It taught me to say well done to myself when I'd done my retail activity. I didn't look at who joined. I didn't judge my worth or judge my success on how many people joined. I judged my success on being true to myself, on meeting my commitment of doing the activity on a daily basis. Now that was many years ago, and I've told that story many times, and many FBOs have copied me, and they've had the same results. There is always that 6, 8, 10, 12-week lead-in time. But most people never get to see that result because most people quit just before those FBOs would have joined their team. Forever is a vehicle. It's a gift that we have in our hands that allows us to achieve anything we want in life. It's a gift that touches people's lives around the world. It's a gift that will never let us down, but we have to put the work in. And we'll only put the work in if we know why we're doing it. The pain of regret always weighs heavier than the pain of discipline. Can we run the VT, please?
was afraid. Afraid, I guess, of failing, maybe.
I regret all the time I wasted, not saying yes to things.
It's something I've always wanted to do since I was little.
Time slipping away, I mean, that's probably the worst feeling in the world, right?
I've got loads of friends from different walks of life, and it's really hard to keep in touch with everyone.
Up until recently, I was homeless. If I hadn't hurt the people that I had, maybe I wouldn't have been.
I wanted to do so many things, but I can never seem to find the time.
I did all the things that were like plan B. I just never did it.
Thank you. That's good? All right, y'all. Enjoy.
A clean board feels like where I want to be. Feels like where I want to go.
That it's not my regret anymore.
It's hopeful. It means there's possibility.
Those 13 FBOs who joined our business in March kick-started our business. I kept up with the activity. Within 12 months, Alan had given up his job. We were earning a six-figure income. We picked up our first chairman's bonus check. 17 years of chairman's bonus, 17 years of car plan, 17 years of a six-figure income. All pales into insignificance when you realize it's 17 years of choice. 17 years in which, well, 21 years in which we've been able to be there for the girls and see them now flown the nest. To see the impact Forever has had on them as adults. 21 years in which we've been able, well, in the early days we were there for our family, to be there for my mum. She lived on her own until 6 weeks before the end of her life because we could move her down to live by us. Alan's parents, there for them, day in, day out, in what sadly turned out to be the last years of their life. 21 years of helping people, countless numbers around the world, make changes to their lives too. Now, to have the most amazing adventures with our gorgeous, gorgeous grandchildren. As you make your way home now, I want you to think about all the amazing things we've learnt today, all of the top tips, all of the activity we know we need to do, to think about, if not now, then when? Thank you.